Good day everyone and welcome to this Tekla Structures video. In our video we are handling Tekla Structures 2021 Service Pack 6. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to start off. Once you've installed the entire Tekla Structures with its environments, whatever environments you're using, I'm going to show you now how to start your model, set up a grid line and also your project properties. So let's start off. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our tab that says New. And in our name, we can type in whatever you want the name to be. So in my case, I'm just going to say it is video 1. Now, of course, you can choose a place to place it in. You'll see I have different types of folders here. The reason is each folder I use for a different purpose. You can even choose browse and create a brand new folder in which you can save it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press create. Now, just remember, you can do that. You can even load up a sample steel building, as you can see over here, and you can even use FabTrol settings for SA, or I'm just going to go blank. You can even create your own by giving it a title, a name, and it will load those settings automatically. Now, in this video, I'm going to show how to manipulate and use your Tekla Structures 2021 to your advantage. But I'm not going to show you any unit standards or teach you any unit standards. So all the requirements or queries that you might have must be of the program itself and how to use it. Now, as you can see, it's done loading, but it still has to do a few things. Now, the first thing is, because I'm using an educational version, I'm using this for educational purposes. Please do not use the education version of Tekla for private work, just for education purposes such as this. So I'm going to say yes, because I'm going to save it as an educational purpose. Now, the reason is simple. Once you do that, the reason is that if you print drawings, it will give a huge watermark stating education. All right, so first up, let's start off with our project properties. Now, to do the project properties, all you have to do is go to your left side over here. Oh, I see this just popped up. I'm just going to show you. If this pops up, you can say create or cancel. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to cancel it because I'm not going to go on the server with it. Now, you can choose a drop down, the file drop down tab. Once you've done that, this is all the settings that you can use. Go to project properties. Once you've chosen this part, you can start editing, giving it a project number. So you can give it whatever project number you're working with, the project number that they provide you with, or if you have your own company, you can put in your own project number. Mine is a W and an N. That follows with a number, the number of project that I'm currently working on, for instance. The next part is, what is a project name? This is, you can put in whatever you want to put in. Now, for this purpose, I'm going to say training. Oh, that's just wrong. Training video. Now, the builder, currently I'm just going to put in my company name. However, you can put in the company you're working for or whoever the builder is. Or if you're currently studying at a certain place, put in the school's name. The object, we can just say, in this case, we're going to say grid lines. Or let's start off, let's say just a normal platform structure. Where is it located at? You can put in the location, meaning, or the designer, first of all, W. It's me. You put in your initials or whatever. The address, you can put in location or address. I'm going to go with the address because the address is where it's currently at. And I'm going to type in Rustenburg. Now, of course, you can put in the location that they provided. You can leave all of this in. As soon as I choose modify, it will save it as this. Now, this video will be transferred. The project properties will be transferred into a brand new model video that I'm going to create later on. All right, so let's start off. We've done the project properties to our satisfactory. Now, to show you where it is appropriate into, this is where it's going to go. Let's just create a quick report. So let's choose bolt list, create from all, show, and of course that will happen because there's no bolts. Okay, it will appear in your reports and also in your drawings. So I'm going to create a quick GA drawing, just like so. There we go. Create, go to my docket manager, and I'm going to open, just delete that. And I'm going to open up my the drawing. Now, as soon as it's open and I minimize it, you can go down and you'll see that there, WB drafting. So the company you work for, the training video platform structure, and the location. And further, the rest of this property I'll explain later, how you're going to edit, what you're going to set, what you're going to place where. So I'm going to close this video now, or this window quickly. So now we've done the project properties. So the next part of our video will be setting up your grid lines. Now, of course, the ideal would be, sorry about that, I'm just going to throw this over on this side, sorry. So ideally, the ideal thing would be to create a grid line from a drawing that they provided you with. So you're going to have to create a grid line to your satisfaction. Now, of course, I'm just going to show you quickly a project. I'm just going to open up quickly. Let's see which project will work swimmingly for this. All right, so drawings that was provided to me from client. I'm just going to show you now quickly. For instance, we're going to black out certain areas in this video so it doesn't show, but just to give you a quick idea, this is the grids that they are talking about. So the grid line is grid line A, B, C, D, and E, and as soon as you go to your plan view, you will get these views right here. So this is what normally is set up with a grid line, but our grid line is going to be different. We're going to set it up according to our specifications of a quick project that I'm just going to do with you guys. So first of all, you click on your grid line. Now, there's two ways of going forward on editing your grid lines. The first one is you double click on the grid line after you select it, and it will pop up over here. If you've selected your grid line, you can even choose the gear icon. If you click on that, this will pop up and you can start editing your grid line. Now, I'm going to press on the background. I press Ctrl P, get a plan view of my 3D view. So you can see, there it is. Now to rotate, I'm holding in Control and the middle button. So let's go back to our plan view. So now the next part would be to actually manipulate your grid lines. Now to do that, you're going to look at the icon at the bottom here or over here, whichever works for you currently. Now currently the grids is set up in X and Y. Now in X we want it as 7 meters and Y in 6 meters. So we're going to look over here. Now you need to start with 0 always because it's a starting point of 0, meaning it will start over here. Next up, I'm going to say I want in the X direction 7,000 for 7 meters. So it will be 7 meters, and upwards in the Y direction, we want 6 meters. So 6 meters. Be sure to have a space between the 0 and the 7 and 6. Now you can press modify, and there we go. Now just go to your edit tab just to measure it, to make sure that this is 7 meters and this is 6 meters. So from this point to this point should be 7 meters, and from this point to this point should be 6 meters. Alright, so I interrupted, so I no longer use the function. Click on the background, right click and say redraw view, and we'll remove the dimension lines. Alright, I'm going to highlight again because we still have a few things to do over here. Now you can rename your grid lines as you see fit. So for instance, I can say that the first one, this meaning this grid line over here, should be A1 for instance, and B1 is the next one. And where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I can now say that that should be, for instance, 22 and 23. The height of our structure, the grid Z, I'm going to create a view for that to explain to you how that works as well, because I'm going to show you now the difference between the two as well. Now, if I press modify, you'll see A1, B1, 22, 23, and that's what I want. Now, this is how the grid X and Y works. If you type in another value, for instance 2000 on both of them, it will now represent as open space, as you can see. So what this means is from this point to this point is 7 meters, and from this point to this point is 2 meters. And the same goes for this part, from this part as 6 meters, and this part to this part as 2 meters. Now if I remove, for instance, the Y directions 2000, it will now drop down and still just have a 2 meter over here. Alright, so this is how this works. What happen is they start with a 0 point and you keep adding value that you add on this part. It will add a line further from this part right here. Now for instance, if you type in 2x 2 and the star function on your numpad, and you modify, it means that there's another 7,000 placed from B1 to the next grid. So I'm just going to redo this just to 7,000. Right, so that's how you're going to set up your X and Y axis, but the Z axis is a bit different. So the first thing is I have to create a view to show you what happens. Now you have two ways of doing this. Actually, there's more than two ways, but the two most popular ways is to click on your grid line once with the left mouse button, right click and say create view along grid lines. Once you've chosen the spot, you just click create and OK. Now the drop down of this is all the views that was created. So this is all the views that exist and the views that you're currently viewing. I'm going to choose grid A1. So if I click on it and the arrow, it will open up on the grid. Now, as you can see, currently it's set up as 0, 3,000, 6,000, 8,000, 9,000. The same as this right here. But this is a bit where it gets a bit tricky. Right. So if I say I want the first level to be 2,500 high, and from that point 2,000 upwards, I'm going to show you what happens if you do it like that. So first level is 2,500 from the 0 point, and from that point onwards it's 2,000. Well, let's swap these two around. It's going to be confusing. Let's say the first level is 2,000 and the second level is 2,500. So what it means is 2,000 up, 2,500. That's what we want. But I'm going to show you now. I have to give it the titles 2,000, 2,500. So the first level at 0 is plus 0, second is 2,000, 2,500. You understand this video part so far? If I press modify, ideally it will give you 2,000 and then 2,500 upwards, but that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is it's going to give you 2,000 upwards, but only 500. The reason is quite simple. What it does is the Z-axis doesn't work the same as the X and Y. The Z-axis is you always start from the 0 point, and the value type in is from the 0 point to the next point that you want. So to get the total of 4,500, as it should be, because if I modify it, you'll see just the name changes, is this should be 4,500. And if I press my measuring tool now, distance from this point to this point is 2,000. This point to this point is 4,500, which means that this point to this point is the desired 2,500 that I wanted. So remember that the X and Y axis were different from your Z axis, and that's just how you're going to go. Okay, I'm going to close the window now, go back to my 3D view, and that is how you're going to set up your project properties and grid lines on a model.